Hey everyone, Mr. P here with Mr. Dave and Mr. Jethro.
Yes, we know who you are.
And if that's not a cryptic clue to what we're talking about or Dave's background, it's get your Sonics ready because we're talking about Doctor Who, and we're going to just a quick opinion of each of the three specials that we've just had, plus the Children in Need special. So basically, Russell T Davies has returned to Who. What have we seen so far and what we think about it? This is not a proper big show pod thing we normally do, but we are going to keep one feature in, which is the Geeky Guys' favourites. So I thought, as we're talking about them, be thinking about your favourite moment out of the three specials.
That's a good one.
Okay. That's going to be our Geeky Guys' favourite. And there's a few to pick from, I think. I think some of you, I think
there is.
You're going to be a bit torn. Let's just quickly talk about Children in Need special. It was literally just a few-minute clip. There's not lots to talk about, really. It was the first introduction of David Tennant as the 14th Doctor.
Yeah, we added that tiny bit of him, didn't we, at the end of the Power of the Doctor with the what thing. About it.
Teeth. And then the TARDIS is he gets in the TARDIS and he sort of crash lands at the point where it's the genesis of the Daleks.
Yeah, it's the prequel to the genesis of the Daleks, isn't it?
Yeah. So you got Davros there, and he's a scientist, and he's talking about the Dalek design and
Castavillian.
And they've not. That's it. Yeah, thanks, Dave. And they've not even named it yet as a Dalek, have they? So David Tennant sort of wanders in and ends up changing the arm to a plunger in a lovely, funny, light-hearted, what you'd expect for a Children in Need special.
Yeah, it's kind of a funny moment, isn't it? Where it's like right in the beginning of the R&D process, isn't it, of the Mark III travel machine, and David Tennant's like saying like the Dalek word and exterminate, and he's just scribbling down.
Good word.
Oh, that's good. Oh, I like that. Good word. Keeping that.
Yeah. So I mean, to be fair, there's not a lot more to say about it. It was a nice little introduction to his Doctor. The one thing we've got to touch on it is the elephant in the room very, very quickly. Is obviously Davros is walking around. So we actually saw a bit more of Davros, a bit like we did in the original Genesis of the Daleks with Tom Baker. We saw quite a bit of him and his thought process and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
and we got to see a little bit more of his vulnerability in that one. But in this one, he plays a walking Davros. They've got rid of his life support machine,
mobility life support.
Whatever put him in that hasn't happened, and he doesn't need it. And according to the RTD and his team, that's the way they're going. Now they've decided that
because everybody originally thought, it's a prequel, it's before Genesis of the Daleks, it's slightly before he's had his accident, and then RTD comes out on the Doctor Who Unleashed behind the scenes of the episode later on, not long after, and says, no, this is the way Davros is now, this is the way we're showing him, and basically went through a bit of a monologue about why they were doing it.
So it is canon.
Apparently, yeah. They've not said whether it's alternative universe Davros or whether it's just we're retconning all the stuff before and starting again, or I'm not too sure.
He said in the interview that was it. Like he said, there was a lovely monologue, and the one comment I will make about it, because I don't want to talk about it for too long, is he didn't seem that happy making that monologue.
I think he was torn about whether to do it or not, I think. And I think a lot of the Children in Need and focusing on disability on that night and stuff played into it as well.
Reading the room sort of thing.
Yeah. It's like RTD, his heart was probably in the right place, but it's like you do have plenty of questions about it, don't you?
So if it is like canon, I'll be honest, for me, it's not in my head canon. And there's a bit of discussion there, but does that fit into you guys' head canon? Do you consider it canon?
The quick answer is I disagree with the choice. I think it's a bad decision. Now, although he is trying to do what he says is for the right reasons, I still think it's a bad decision. You've basically just rewrote 50 years of Doctor Who for a decision where you think that you're representing wheelchair users as evil people.
And the funny thing was, like you said, it had a lot of backlash online from like wheelchair users, didn't it? From people
saying, "Yeah, we love it. Why have you changed
we love Davros as he is."
I mean, some people obviously did think that it was portraying wheelchair users as evil, and they didn't like it. you're always going to get two sides to every argument.
Then you got the other side of it, like I said to you when we were talking about it before, where some people see it as empowerment over disability.
Lots of people that are wheelchair
stuff,
users have said that online. But look,
Yeah.
we get bogged down in it. I think we think as a group that it was in fact the wrong decision.
Yeah.
Albeit for potentially the right reasons.
Yeah.
We have to just bear in mind one small thing, and this is just something to plant in your mind while we're talking about all these episodes, which is that Disney have put a lot of money into this.
Yes, they have.
We don't know that Disney have done this, but if they've said, oh, you need to make it more inclusive, you need to make it whatever, that might be why the box has been ticked.
Maybe.
You need, well, not inclusive in, what I mean is we need to be listening to our audience. And if there's been some people saying, oh, you can't have evil people in wheelchairs, then maybe that's why they've changed it. Who knows? Who knows?
We'll find out more.
The point is, it was a fun little skit and it was really nice. We then move on and the Doctor wanders off to Earth, as he always does.
Yeah.
And we get the episode The Star Beast.
Yes, indeed.
Now, again, written by Russell T Davies, but adapted from a comic strip called Doctor Who and the Star Beast.
Yes, from 1980.
Not the first time it's been adapted. It was adapted 4 years ago for a story, a Big Finish story with Tom Baker.
Yes.
As well. So it's not original completely. We'll just point that out.
Yeah.
So
Dave Gibbons and Pat Mills, wasn't it? To put that comic strip together, and we saw them on the after show as well, like being introduced to everybody. That was quite nice.
So now this is lovely because it's David Tennant's 14th Doctor back on Earth. And he's reunited with Donna Noble, good old Catherine Tate, fantastic. And there's a bit of an issue here because obviously she can't remember who he is or she'll die. Again, we're going to try and skim through this rather quickly. So the story essentially is that you've got this small creature that's appeared on Earth that's been chased by these other insect creatures, and also UNIT are involved as well.
They got their funding back.
yeah, they did. Yeah, they're finally back in Who, which is good. Yeah, I've got spaceships crashing over London again. It's like Christopher Eccleston days back all over again, isn't it?
Always London. Always London.
Yeah, they always crash in London, don't they? Nowhere else.
So also this means, because it's Donna Noble, we also, of course, have got Jacqueline King back as Sylvia Noble.
Yeah, good old Sylvia.
And she's got a daughter, Rose Noble, which is, I love the fact they called her Rose, played by
a bit of a double take there.
Rose, what? Finney,
what's going on?
That character. This is one of those nice little alien in trouble. I assume we're going to put a spoiler warning out for this. So the Meep, the little alien, is in fact the bad guy, which is the twist towards the end. And the Doctor doesn't really work it out till towards the end because he's got a lot of things on his mind. He's trying to work out why he's got the face that he's got back again. What do you think about it, Jethro?
Yeah, I quite liked it. It's nice introduction, and definitely from the get-go, it has a different feel from a lot of the previous Triple era stuff, which again won't get too bogged down in that, but it does have that like strong character-focused dialogue. That even though the story is going along and going forward, there's a lot more character moments in this episode than I feel there has been in previous series. So it's definitely an improvement on previous stuff.
Yeah, definitely tell it's RTD.
Yeah,
I was just about to say you've got the RTD feel back to the series,
and that's one of his strong
obviously
points.
We had the first transgender actor in Doctor Who as well.
Yeah, Yasmin Finney, who was mentioned there as Rose Noble. And that's nice. If you're going to have a character that's transgender, you use an actor that's transgender. That's absolutely fine.
Exactly. And she was very good as well.
Absolutely.
I thought she was pretty good in that role.
But just a quick word about the Sonic, just because we've got a new Sonic for the 14th Doctor, which I waved around earlier, which is here. And if you
he's got it. He's got it.
If you want to see our videos on the Sonic, they are on YouTube. We did this is the online exclusive, and we did do some videos about the features on that Sonic. Very reminiscent of Tennant's other Sonic, also a cross between maybe Matt Smith's. And what I love about the Sonic in this episode, there's one thing I'd hate about it, which I know we talked about the other day. We hate the fact that it makes this force field thing. How does that work? I didn't get that.
Very good
bit
at
aside,
resonating concrete, apparently.
I love the fact he resonates concrete and actually uses Sonic to do it. That's amazing. It actually uses a Sonic screwdriver for the Sonic part of it. We also get a few comments and mentions about her granddad, Wilfred Mott, played, of course, by Bernard Cribbins. We don't see him, but we get some mentions about Wilf. There's a lovely part where they sort of said, "Oh no, he's gone," and they're like, "Oh no," and you think he's died, and it's like, no, he's living in a assistance home just down there.
Yeah, can't get up the stairs anymore.
And
also in this episode, just to finish up as well, we had a new unit chief scientist with weapons in her wheelchair, Shirley Ann Bingham, played by Ruth Madeley, who it looks like we're going to see her a little bit in unit themed episodes going forward, so that's going to be good. As
we go into the second, just to point out, by the way, according to IMDb, 7.1 rating, which out of 10 is quite good. We go into the second episode, which jumps straight up to 8.4. That's as of the beginning of this recording, because I checked before we came. Called Wild Blue Yonder. I absolutely adore this episode. I love it. So the TARDIS interior, let's just talk about that very briefly. You've got the 80s one behind you there, Dave, but
I have indeed.
The one we've got now is immense. It's massive.
Yeah, it's big, isn't it?
And they brought it back to a white color.
Yeah,
which is a lovely nod back. Yeah, so I mean, I love it. I think the design's brilliant. And when you watch the behind the scenes, they gave it lots of buttons, because obviously David Tennant was going to have it first, and he really loved buttons and switches and things, and the lights light up when you push the buttons and things.
They put lots of ramps in as well. So it'd be fine if K9 comes back.
Yeah, all of the ramps and things around the inside, which is lovely to run around, which David Tennant does, of course. I would have done
all the running.
I'd have run around.
Where do all those doors go?
Well, you see, the thing about the TARDIS, Jethro, is it's dimensionally transcendental. I'm so glad I got that on the first time, so we didn't have to do it again.
I don't know, it's go again.
Which means it's bigger on the inside. It's got lots of corridors and rooms. In fact, if there's a Tom Baker episode where they actually film the inside of a TARDIS in part of a warehouse at one point, just to show the immense size of it. And it's changeable. We found out in Matt Smith's tenure, you could delete rooms and create new ones as you go. But anyway, so they probably go to the kitchen, which is where you get your nice cup of tea.
Or the swimming pool or the library, something like that.
Maybe the swimming pool's in the library. Oh, we're digressing now. This is okay. So we get the TARDIS, which we think is amazing, and it's lovely. And Donna drops coffee on the TARDIS console, which spirals it out of control. They land in
66 in London in an apple tree.
And they land in a tree, and Sir Isaac Newton's underneath, an apple drops on his head. And then they say, "Oh, sorry." They make a joke about gravity. He mishears them and thinks they said mavity, and then they speed off again. And later in the episode, they actually use the word mavity. So I don't know whether that word's now changed. So it'll be interesting to listen for that in the.
I don't think you understand the gravity of the situation.
Why that scene is in there, we've got no idea. It adds nothing to the story. It doesn't move it along as a vehicle to move the story along. It's simply there as a bit of comic fun.
I really liked it, to be honest. Just a single episode jokes, just put through the episode, and afterward just drop it. Fine, love it.
That's brilliant. But well, again, elephant in the room, and it's the only one I've got about this episode, which is that Sir Isaac Newton, expertly played, of course, by Nathaniel Curtis. However, Sir Isaac Newton was born in Lincolnshire in 1643. He's a white British guy. And they didn't cast a white British guy to play him, and I don't understand why. And I've got nothing against Nathaniel Curtis, of course, but I just don't get why they took a historic figure and just changed something just for the sake of it. Why not just pick a really nice, person of color or different ethnicity that's done something great and really publicize that and say, look how good, look what they've done. If you want to do that.
Mm. Almost like what they did with Rosa Parks in Jodie Whittaker's era.
Yeah.
Just as a point, was it filmed in Isaac Newton's actual house? Because it looked very familiar.
The TARDIS and the tree, and the top bit of the tree and the TARDIS was filmed in a car park in Wales. The Nathaniel Curtis bit was filmed somewhere else. I don't know where it might have been.
Because it looks familiar. I was like, I'm sure I've seen this thing before. Then he sat under the tree. It's like, Isaac
Yeah.
Newton. There you go. That's where I know that house
Could
from.
be. They never actually met. They weren't on screen at the same
No,
time.
no, no,
Both
no.
at the same time.
But it could be
yeah.
that.
But my only issue there was I just don't understand why it's there. If you've changed the character around, just pick something great. It's almost like saying people of colour haven't done anything in history very good, so we'll just pinch something that someone that was white British did instead.
To play devil's advocate,
go on then.
The series didn't make a thing of it. The series didn't make the character's ethnicity a part of it or anything.
No, it didn't.
So should we as the audience reflect that?
There's a term, and I was going to write it down before we came on. When they made Superman in 1978, and I always refer everything back to Superman.
We're back to Superman again.
Back to Superman again. Richard Donner had this phrase, I think like verisimilitude or whatever it is. And it basically talks about the realism within what you're making, the believability of it. So you've got this character who can fly, who's an alien. How do you make people believe that he's believable? What you do is you make everything else around him spot on true and to life, and you make it as believable as you possibly can. And so within everything they did, there was a truth to it. And that's what makes it work. But in this episode, what they've done is they've took that one little fact, and because they've tweaked it to something that actually wasn't true, for me it just ruins the I don't know. I don't say it.
And then we get into staple kind of classic sci-fi, classic Doctor Who on a spaceship that something's gone wrong, and Doctor tried to work out what's cracking off and how to solve it.
And not only that, no Sonic, because it's fixing the TARDIS, and the TARDIS runs away. So he's got no TARDIS, no screwdriver. So it's a little bit like Matt Smith's 11th Hour. Matt Smith's first episode.
The old hostile action displacement system, the old HADS is re-engaged, doesn't it? And
I absolutely love Donna's sentence. The TARDIS, there's something so terrible on the ship, the TARDIS has run away. He's like, yeah. He's like, well, let's go kick its ass.
Yeah, classic Donna Noble.
Classic Donna Noble. So they find this. What another piece about this is it's got in it some aliens who take on like shapeshifters that can like manifest themselves as someone else. So they each so there's two aliens, and there's Doctor and Donna, and the aliens manifest as the Doctor and Donna and try and convince the other one to give them lots of information.
They're kind of stuck at the edge of the universe, aren't they? And these aliens, like you say, they want to take over people so they can escape into the universe proper and cause all kinds of trouble.
The Doctor's very wary because he's on the edge of the universe, and it's kind of like where anything's possible sort of thing, and anything can happen. And
the spaceship's all kind of powered down and running slow, and walls moving around and weird words being said.
There's a system on board the ship to self-destruct it, but they've put it in a slow motion thing to take years to happen because, excuse me, because the aliens won't pick up on it. The Doctor gets there and realizes what's happening, and in the process almost tells them what's happening. And he tries to make it go really quick then to actually blow up so that the aliens are destroyed and don't get into our universe.
Yeah, because literally the only thing they know is that the airlock was opened and closed 3 years ago, don't they? And that's it. And then they find out this race of horse-type alien, the ship's captain, has like gave up their life and been blasted out of the ship, out the airlock. And that's basically their way of taking these hostiles out.
It's a lovely sort of Marie Celeste type episode. And I think the pacing's good. I think we get a lot of Donna and Doctor together just on their own. That's lovely. We get a lovely moment between the Doctor and Donna, but he's actually talking to the fake Donna, where he kind of opens up to say, "Look, I've gone through so much just recently. I'm not."
Yeah, the last 15 years, there's been a lot gone on.
I'm struggling, basically. It was him saying, I'm struggling, I'm not doing well.
They get split up as well and have to find each other again. And then, like you say, got the whole aspect of trying to work out if they're the real one or not. And comes into a deep dive into their characters and their relationship, really, doesn't it? To try and work out who's who and who's the real person.
And it shows that they do know each other really well.
Yeah.
We're building up to like the next episode very, very much all the way.
Yeah. we have a new robot as well, don't we? We have Jimbo, the little slow robot who's slowly walking down the corridor to, as we find out later, to blow up the ship. And what I didn't realise until today is it kind of reminded me, that robot, a little bit of the wind-up robot from the Wizard of Oz 2, who's like really slow and clunky because he's like clockwork and like really old and not working very well.
I thought you were going to say the original Marvin from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Right.
I was going to say that as well.
And as they land back on Earth, it is, of course, the fantastic, the wonderful Bernard Cribbins as Wilf in a wheelchair, waiting for them. This was one of a few scenes they'd written for Bernard Cribbins. They'd filmed this one, but then realised that he was actually a little bit too
unwell
to do the rest. And sadly, 3 weeks later, he passed away.
So he did the read-throughs, he did that little scene.
He did this scene, but then he passed away. So unfortunately, but we got this wonderful last scene from him in Doctor Who with the Doctor, and it's a lovely heartfelt moment where the Doctor comes back and there's chaos everywhere, and Wilf's like, "Oh, you're here now. It's going to be great. You'll fix everything." And that leads us into the last of these specials.
Well, let's not forget that Bernard Cribbins also appeared in 1966's what was it
Doctor
called?
Who and the Daleks.
No, the
Dalek
other one,
Invasion of
sequel.
Earth.
That's it, Dalek Invasion of
Dalek
Earth.
Invasion
Yeah, he was
of
in
Earth.
that as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, it was. That was his first Doctor Who appearance. Before he played Wilf back in the Voyage of the Damned.
Voyage of the Damned, yeah, on his newspaper stand. 2007.
So that was lovely moment. And then we return to Earth, basically, and the next episode picks off from that very moment. So Unit have just arrived. Wilf, or an actor pretending to be Wilf in a wheelchair, you just see him in the background, is told to be taken to safety. So that writes him out of it. And then the Doctor and Donna have to deal with the world going a little bit mad.
Everybody thinks they're right, don't they? And everybody's just going by their decisions to do whatever.
It's called the Giggle, by the way, and just to say 8.7 on IMDb. So it's just been progressively going up and up and up.
We ought to say as well that obviously this episode is very much a spiritual successor, follow-on from 1966 William Hartnell episode called The Celestial Playroom, where they introduce a character called the Toy Maker, who's an immortal elemental from the Underverse, the end of the universe.
And they reference that in this. In fact, David Tennant's Doctor, I love the fact how he loses the game knowing he can lose the game, because it's actually 1-1, because technically he won the last one. So best of 3. I love that. That was a lovely
best of 3. It's your rules.
Well, why would he do it on picking up cards? That's ridiculous. He always knew that he'd got another attempt, and he was playing at the time. Neil Patrick Harris, of course, playing the Toy Maker. Absolutely phenomenal casting.
Yeah, it was very, very good, wasn't he?
He can do magic and shuffling and close up. He can do juggling.
He did puppetry.
A bit of puppetry. He says he can't dance, but let's face it, he can.
And quite a nice aspect to the story as well, where they're rewriting established history. So it's like Soho in 1926 and John Logie Baird inventing the television, and basically the toy maker, John Logie Baird's assistant goes to the toy maker's shop. And goes and buys this puppet to put on the screen, and it basically transmits a message through the television set that goes into people's minds and like slowly over time drives people mad.
A bit reminiscent of the Matt Smith with the silence, where he puts the subliminal message on the screen on the moon landings. That a little bit like that, I suppose, in a way. Just a quick point, actually, John McKay, who plays John Logie Baird in this episode, has also played John Logie Baird before for Russell T Davies in his short miniseries called Nolly, which was earlier this year.
Yes, I did hear him mention that, actually, on a morning show a few weeks ago. He mentioned something about that. That's quite cool.
Which is fun. I love that.
It's like the actor who played Charles Manson in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Mindhunter. And he got cast as Charles Manson without the other people knowing that he's already been cast as Charles Manson, because they both came out the same year.
They say as well, don't they, that David Tennant's 14th Doctor feels really responsible, because he talks about like throwing salt and not like letting vampires and ghosts past at like the edge of the universe with the veils thin, and that's kind of released the toy maker from his from where he was trapped.
We get Gemma Redgrave back, of course.
Kate Lethbridge-Stewart
As Kate, yeah, which is fantastic. And just before, in fact, no, one more thing. So in Unit HQ, which is very reminiscent of the Avengers Tower. Let's just. I'm not saying they've copied it, but if you just put a big A on the side, it would probably look very similar. In there, you've got some other aliens that are now working with Unit, called the Vlinks, and the voice of the Vlinks, Nicholas Briggs. Of course.
Nicholas Briggs. Yeah. Whenever you want a voice, it's always Nicholas Briggs, isn't it?
It's got to be Nick Briggs, who did the Daleks. So yeah, that's lovely that they brought him in. And I didn't even realise that until I was researching for this podcast, this
episode.
So he makes a statement which is very interesting, because he talks about messing around with the Time Lords, which is interesting because there aren't any.
No, it's the Master had killed them all, hadn't he? Supposedly.
Yeah. He also talks about the Master and the fact that he's encased him in his gold tooth, which we see at the end, which I know you're going to mention in a minute, Dave. But also he talks about another entity.
Something else is coming.
Maker is scared of and ran away from. So maybe that's someone that's going to be playing a part later on.
And also, we've also got that mentioned as well, just going back quickly to the Star Beast, where the Meat mentions about going back to their boss and like telling them about the Doctor, and you're thinking, who's their boss? Who's this that's going to potentially come in?
I thought that was going to be the Toy Maker.
I
thought they'd make it so the Toy Maker sent out minions. You're a bit like what was it? Memory Palace. That's going to be a meme now, isn't it? I'll do it again. Memory Palace. The Tricksters Brigade. In fact, I thought that was like not the Trickster, but one of the brigades. So it was like a minion of the Toy Maker, sort of one of his toys or whatever that had been sent out. That's what I thought the Meat was, one of his toys that had been animated and sent out originally. But no, it could be this other big bad. Who knows?
And as you mentioned earlier as well, we've got the return of Bonnie Langford, Mel Bush, who's now working for Unit.
Yes, and that probably stems from, if you watch the last episode of Jodie Whittaker's tenure of the Doctor, was it The Power of the Doctor? Can't remember. I think it's Power of the Doctor. The Unit actually get all the companions together that are on Earth, and they have like a bit of a, well, not Unit, it's Bradley Walsh's character, isn't it? Yes, but they talk about their time with the Doctor, and Kate Lethbridge-Stewart did say she'd probably end up recruiting some of them. Well, she clearly has done. Bonnie Langford now works for Unit, and in fact, it sounds like Donna Noble is going to now. Unit,
and she even haggled for a better deal as well.
That's right.
Like 120 with 40 days holiday. Yeah, right.
Fastest typist in Chiswick. So that's brilliant, and I love that. And again, Bonnie Langford, as I said near the beginning of this video, is on the slate for the Christmas special.
Yeah.
So we've obviously got Unit in there as well, which is going to be great.
And we also got a mention as well, finally, of Liz Sladen, Sarah Jane Smith.
Yes, and the fact that Sarah Jane had passed away, which that was nice because they'd not referenced.
Yeah, because we've been saying for ages, haven't we? They can't not mention it, surely.
No,
we've got to cover it at some point. Well, so it was good they did.
They did, and David Tennant's Doctor in this incarnation of his Doctor, obviously wearing a little thin, getting a little old, is a little bit more lovey-dovey, I suppose, more feelings.
Yeah.
He's happy to express them a bit more, which he points out.
Yeah.
And I like that. I think that's nice.
Yeah, nice that it's not just a repeat of the 10th, that there's, something different.
Character development.
Yeah, character development and a testament to Tennant's acting range.
Yeah, at the end of the day, there's 3 Doctors worth of history in there, isn't there, since he's played the Doctor before. So he couldn't have played it exactly the same.
Okay, finally then, before we come to the question of what's your favourite moment, let's just talk about the next big moment, which of course was a regeneration scene.
Slightly different this time.
Yeah. Now, I think when we talked on chat and on phone after the episode, I got the feeling you thought I would say that I didn't like it. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think we all thought you'd just go, bloody rubbish. What are
And
we
you
doing?
know what?
Ridiculous.
You know what? I liked it. It was a bi-generation. So what you had this time was they explained it by simply saying that David Tennant's doctor was getting a bit older and
Spread a bit thin, bit old, bit tired.
And if we go back to Timeless Child, for example, that whole Timeless Child thing, which RTD said he was not going to retcon, that means that David Tennant's doctor at that point, the doctor, is in fact not necessarily just 1,000, 2,000 years old. It could be like 20,000 years old. We just don't know, because all the regenerations get get wiped. The memories are wiped and start again. So we don't actually know how old he is. So maybe,
and then all that time he spent getting back to Gallifrey as well, hammering on the wall for years and years and years.
Well, I suggested to because there's odd bits that they put in, like when he's talking about HADS, he says, "Oh, it was in space for a year before it came back." We don't know how old he is. And I said was it Jethro on the phone or you? I said, because of the memory wipes at the end of each one of the Timeless Child story, set of regenerations, any one of those could have had a bi-generation either as well. So it might not necessarily be the first one. It's just the first one that they know of. And anyway, so what you've got is the bi-generation was, instead of the doctor regenerating from one person into one person, he regenerates sort of internally and then splits into two different characters. So you've got the 14th Doctor still, but then you've got this new 15th Doctor, which is the same Doctor, the next regeneration, but as a separate person.
Yeah,
it's like new and revitalized and can now go.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Probably a lot of all that crazy stuff he had piled up in his head's probably been released a little bit now. Now it's been split into two people.
And David Tennant's 14th Doctor, bless him, gets to have a family and stays with Donna on Earth with the TARDIS, although he does pop off occasionally and take a little trip.
Nips off with Rose Noble to Mars or Pluto or something.
I'm sure she'll get a trip into Brighton or something at some point.
Oh, yeah. He'll take her shopping. Should be
the
fine.
Brighton Pavilion. Opening of the Brighton Pavilion. Might get there in this time.
So what did you think to that, Dave?
I mean, me and Mr. P had a discussion about it the other night, and I kind of expanded on it a little more and went into a slightly more technical way of the way that I thought it might work. And that was just very basically that, as Mr. P said there, where he was spread a bit thin and he was tired. We originally had the thing where you could only have a limit of 13 regenerations, and then that was it, and then you're dead pretty much. But then in the Matt Smith episode, where Clara's next to the crack in the wall and the veil's thin, she gets the Time Lords to send him some more regenerations when Matt Smith's doctor's about to die. And so it kind of makes sense that there's that ability there to have lots more regenerations, but the body probably isn't quite capable in its current state. So kind of splitting off and, like Mr. P said, revitalizing.
Just to interrupt you there, what I did say was that that's kind of null and void. Because when they brought in Timeless Child, the fact is that at the end of each set of regenerations, the Doctor's mind was wiped and then they start again. So it's not just 13. It could be like 106 regenerations. We don't know. That's the point.
Well,
like,
the Doctor's mind isn't wiped, is it? You can still remember things from his past incarnations.
Only the set of regenerations that is currently within.
Oh, yeah, the ones that we mainly know about. If there's any others, then doesn't know those yet.
Well, we've got the Joe Martin Doctor, who is the Doctor and can't remember the others because she's from a different set of regenerations. So there's another set somewhere running around, or even another 3 sets or 4 sets.
Yeah.
We don't
makes it all a little bit messy, doesn't it? That's the only one
does,
side
and at
of
the
it.
time, I remember we said it's just made it way
too complicated. Yeah.
But what he's done now is he's basically sort of said, well, let's just put all that there and park it with David Tennant. We've got the new one to carry on, and that's where we are.
Yeah,
I guess that's
which works fine. I'm with like you. I don't mind it at all. I think it makes sense in a number of ways.
I'll tell you 2 reasons why I don't mind it. One, we've still got David Tennant's 14th Doctor out there in the world.
Yeah, exactly. It's the first time really that you've not had to lose a Doctor and that's it, they're gone, and they might just pop in for a quick cameo in a big anniversary special.
It is, but the fact is, in our minds, he's still there and potentially could be referenced. And I also like it because he's still got the original TARDIS. Now, we talked about this again very quickly. It's an exact copy, so it's not technically they're the same. It's the old which Voyager survived in Voyager, isn't it? Was it the copy? Was it a copy? Was it a duplicate? Was it? So I liked that, and I did love the wheelchair access on the TARDIS when he opens the bottom out in Newt Gatwa's TARDIS. That was really nice inclusion in that, and I don't mind that.
That was good.
Exercise. That is a fun little joke.
I'm gonna be a Grinch.
You don't like that?
I'm very, very iffy on it. A few thoughts in my head. First of all, if he could just split into two, then what's the point of bringing a particular regeneration to an end? Why can't you just be like, okay, off you go. Now we're going to follow this next person off. Like to quote Capaldi's Doctor, everything begins and it's always happy. No, sorry. Everything ends and it's always sad, and everything begins again and it's always happy. And as just a thing in general life, I think that's quite profound and good advice. But if something can't really end, then what meaning does it have?
Before Timeless Child, there was a moment with Matt Smith's Doctor where he dies on Lake Silencia. During the regeneration process, he's hit again and he dies. That's it. The Doctor is dead. So the Doctor can die completely. It's just that if it's not interrupted, he'll just keep going.
I'm not talking in universe, I'm talking as an audience.
Right.
And an audience investment. Depending where they go with this, I feel it's sort of altered my investment in it. Like, oh, okay, they're just going to do that now. And how am I supposed to really enjoy Matt Smith's era if I know that he could just, keep on doing this forever? Like, as much as I don't want any particular Doctor to die, it kind of has to happen in order for the next person to come along. And I don't want David Tennant's Doctor to die, and they had that trouble before when he regenerated back as David Tennant. Yeah, first time round, and then brought him back for the 50th. Any bets he's going to come back for the 70th?
Yeah, of course he will. He'll be back before then, probably.
Yeah.
Won't be surprised.
Let me backpedal slightly then, because I kind of said, I sort of said there'd not been a bi-generation before. That's what they said. Okay. I don't think they said it wasn't possible. They just said there'd never been one.
It was a Time Lord myth, and there'd not really been one.
A myth comes from somewhere. It comes from the fact that they've heard about it. So it's possible it's happened before.
And to my second point, that really reminds me of I like bacteria, how they produce asexually by splitting in two. Genetically, they're the same, but that's how they make more of them. They just split into two. There's something called parthenogenesis that lizards can do, where it's essentially a virgin birth that, like a fertilized egg can be produced by a lizard and then grow into a genetically identical copy of the mother. And it's theoretical, I'm stressing theoretical, that it can happen with humans.
If you've just joined us, by the way, it's Geeky Guys on Science.
Yes, we've had a segue into a science episode.
And I get where you're going with that. And if you actually think about what regeneration is, normal regeneration, it's every cell in your body dies and then is like reborn again. So bi-generation obviously is every cell in the body as it's healing copies, I guess.
And the likelihood is we're not going to have the same thing happen again when Ncuti Gatwa goes. I think that will surely then we'll just go back to a standard regeneration again.
I would think so, yes.
It'd be really daft if they keep doing it every time now.
What they might do, they might explain it later down the line and say an entity can only do that once.
Yeah, could be.
Because then the rumours from the others would have been a different person, a different time that did it. So that might be it. But who knows? I mean, look, the fact is he did it, and we had two of them playing catch on the top of the tower, which was lovely with the toy maker. They beat him at his game, and he was banished away. And right at the end, we see the Master's existence in the tooth,
golden tooth fall onto the floor. Yes.
And picked up by a woman's hand with perhaps, was it red nail polish?
Yeah, could it be like Lucy Saxon, or could it be like one of the cult of Saxon that just happens to have heard about it and come to collect him like they did with a ring?
Well, we just point out that Lucy Saxon did that in the original earlier on.
Yeah.
And the master was in a ring and she picked it up and he
Yeah.
was able to live on. So they've not killed off the master. They fixed the Chibnall thing there of thinking the master.
He always comes back.
He is, in fact, potentially still around. It's all to play for as we're going to the new series. Now I'm really excited about it. I think it's
very reminiscent of Flash Gordon.
Say again, sorry?
At the end of Flash Gordon, very reminiscent of that last shot.
The toy maker at certain points was very reminiscent of the master, wasn't he? With his like jumping around and dancing with Spice Up Your Life, the Spice Girls, and you know, reminiscent of like Here Come the Drums and stuff. And
that's what villains do now, Dave. They're divas.
Divas.
Can we say divas now? I don't know.
I don't know. We'll see if we get letters or not. Join us later. We'll find out.
You've got complaints about anything we've said today, by the way, seriously, please send us a letter to Bad Wolf Studios, courtesy of Russell T. Davis.
If you have any complaints, feel free to keep them to yourself.
One question to you then, guys. Geeky Guys favourites. What was your favourite moment out of all these RTD episodes we've just had?
Out of all three or one of each?
You know, all three. Out of all three, what was your favourite? I'm going to make it difficult because there were so many good corkers in there.
Oh, you're going to have to, aren't you?
You can give me the top two. Top two favourite moments. Go on then, Jethro. Seeing as you asked the question, you can go first.
Pass. So I'm just thinking.
Dave, what have you got?
Well, I think my number one has got to be David Tennant's Doctor, with the realization on his face that he realizes it's the toy maker and that he's come back and that he's in trouble. I think, and he's like, just done it, go to the TARDIS. What? You never tell me to do that. Go to the TARDIS.
I love the
like
flashback of the first Doctor.
With the first Doctor, the original toy maker.
The memories that you see on the screen, that was lovely.
Yeah, played by, as we said the other day, Alfred from Batman.
Yes. Would you like to play again, Master Bruce?
So yeah, that would be my number one. My number two would be obviously the Donna, Doctor, and Wilf coming back together. Right. So that was a nice moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be top two. If there was a third.
Oh, not that.
Third. No,
are we having two?
Give another one.
Go on then. Move on to Jethro. Must have thought of something by now.
Right. Mr. Jethro, what have you got?
My two stand-up moments in no particular order are the scene behind the toy maker's shop where they're going through all the corridors. I felt that was quite well done. There's quite a cool element of mystique and mystery in there, and
it's very much the God Complex, the Matt Smith episode where they're going around the corridors and the rooms in the hotel.
I was going to say Scooby Doo,
or that,
but the other one would be the character moments of the Doctor and Donna in Wild Blue Yonder talking to each other, because that was quite nice to see. Because it was also nice that not only do we get them as the main characters, but we also get them as the villains as well. So like two for the price of one. Yeah. That's a good deal.
So for actors always say, don't they, that's why a lot of actors always like mirror universe episodes, because they get to play a wholly opposite, different version of that character. It challenges them a little bit.
And so to finish, I'll give you mine. Fortunately, you've kind of all naturally you were going to already have picked them anyway. So I loved the fact that Wilf was back, like you said, Dave.
Yeah,
that was amazing. I loved that scene.
And we were lucky enough to meet him as well a few years ago.
We did, and he was nice. So lovely at the con, wasn't he?
He was, wanted to do like different types and styles of photos with everybody. It was really good, wasn't it?
It was really, really great. And I'm now torn. My other one's torn a little bit, so I'm going to put two in top place because, well, I think I'm making the rules up here, so it's fine.
You wouldn't let Dave have three, but now you.
I was torn between what Dave just said, which is why I'm going to come up with another one as well, which was the moment where I love the fact when the Doctor almost breaks down. No, you just said it, Jethro, and talks to Donna. but it's not Donna. It's the bad version. But
Yeah.
he kind of he does say, does he say, "Are you Donna? Are you really Donna?" Because something's not quite right in his head. But that lovely moment where he's about to just dump all his problems, and you can see he's got them, and he gets a bit teary, and I love that moment. And also, just for the fun of it, you've got to have him going into the new TARDIS for the first time and running around like a kid. I'm sorry, that's lovely. That's exactly what I would do if it was me.
It's gorgeous.
We know what it's like to walk onto a TARDIS set that you've never seen. Me and Dave went to the Roselock Studios, where we went onto the TARDIS just before Peter Capaldi got it.
Yes, we did, didn't we?
And a lovely little set it was, enclosed 360 set, and that was amazing.
Yeah, it's good.
Anyway, yes. So
coming up, I think the good place to finish on this would be, what do we think of our first initial glimpse of Ncuti Gatwa as the 15th Doctor?
Love it.
Well, there you go. That's thumbs up from Mr. Jethro. I like what I've seen so far, and I'm excited to see what he's going to do next.
I say he's been in quite a few hit shows, and I've said to you before, I've seen him in other things. He's got the authoritarian side, he's got the humour side, the silly side. So I think he's going to work really well, I think.
Yeah. Another point, quick one. With the By Generation, they sort of like shared the clothes they were wearing between them.
Yes, they do. I love that. So Ncuti Gatwa ends up with the shirt and the tie.
Shirt, tie, and pants.
David Tennant still ends up with the waistcoat and like the undershirt and the trousers. Ncuti Gatwa gets the socks. David Tennant's barefoot, and David Tennant gets the trousers, and Ncuti Gatwa's got just underpants on.
It was quite funny.
But when Whittaker regenerated, clothes changed.
They explained that basically.
Okay.
By simply saying at the time, they just thought it would be weird if David Tennant was stood there wearing all her clothes. I kind of, but
it was 2022. Come on, like if you're going to do all this stuff nowadays.
I know. They kind of said, well, I think the thing was, well, if you can regenerate his entire body, why not regenerate the clothes at the same time?
They did it with Sacha Darwin, didn't they? When
they did.
He regenerated into the Doctor. He got the earring and the coat and everything else. They didn't mind doing it with him, did they?
No.
As if they're making up as they go along.
I just, you know what? I didn't really mind that too much. That's something I could overlook, mainly just because it was David.
Can't blame RTD for that, because that was Chibnall.
Anyway. No, I don't blame him for that. No,
it was RTD.
Wait, what?
It was RTD that did the regeneration into David Tennant.
No, we were on about the regeneration from Jodie Whittaker. When she got crossed over with the Master in the pods. I didn't mind that. That's fine. I'm not bothered about that. And I think that the fact that they sort of split clothes, you could argue it in two ways. One, it's a by generation, which hasn't really happened before, so that's probably why it was different. And two, it was darn hilarious. So let's just let it go. I'm the Doctor. Them's the rules. Deal with it.
That we've mentioned, I think it would be a bit silly now just to hammer down on that one little point. So I think what I'm going to do, as of right this second, I've made the decision. I am going to take all that political stuff, all the stuff I don't like and I disagree with, and I'm just going to put it one side and say I've dealt with that now. I've talked about what I don't like about it, and we'll see how we go going forwards.
Let's just move on and enjoy it, and don't get stuck in all that stuff.
So. Well, that brings us lovely to the end. And we look forward to
Doctor
Who on Christmas Day.
On Christmas Day, it's actually took the pressure off us releasing a Christmas special at 6:30 Christmas Day for the first time in a few years.
It is, although we have got a Christmas special coming.
Yes, we have. Yeah,
during that previous week, so we'll look for that, and we will see you then. Any last remarks, Mr. Jethro?
No.
Okay, nice and short, sweet to the point, Mr. Dave.
Here we go again.
Alonzi. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to follow our socials, like and subscribe. You can find all our stuff at geekyguys.co.uk, and we'll keep watching Doctor Who. It's looking quite promising, and
it is.
We'll see you next time.